Welcome back. This is what I'm working on today. It is a notebook and I just cover it with decorative paper and sell it so that, it's nice to have decorative paper, decorative notebooks to write in rather than just plain old. So this is what we're going to be working on today. These kinds of objects, I've made several. So what you're going to need is a notebook. I've already covered this with my Scor Tape. I am using my 5-inch Scor Tape today. This is the first time I've used it, and it's definitely a learning curve. You can use Scor Tape for this project. You can use art glitter glue, which I will be using for part of this. The art glitter glue actually does not have glitter in it. That's just the brand name. It dries clear. I love it. It dries quickly. I can keep moving on art projects rather than having to let things dry overnight all the time. Some things I let dry overnight, like album covers, but for the most part, if you're working on cards and such, this dries quick, dries clear. You can get done without having to wait. So I'm going to move this off to the side. I am just using regular notebooks. These are not spiral bound. They are the tape bound, so they work out rather well for this. I've already put my Scor Tape on the front and the back of this. I'll move that out of the way. This item is the paper I'm using. This is from Michaels. It is paper pad blocks. This collection is from Craft Smart. It's called Love Letter. Very nice, durable paper. It's a heavy duty paper. It's not thin at all. It is craft stock, cardstock weight. Beautiful. I don't know if it actually says the weight on here anyway. I don't see that, but it's acid free, so you can use it in your scrapbooking, your albums, all those things. So beautiful paper. And the papers I've chosen for this particular project are these. This will be the front cover, and this will be my back cover. I have some cutouts, cut-aparts that come out of here. Let's see which one I had pulled for my earlier papers. This is the one I pulled, so we'll pick one of these to use on the front of there. But as you can see, it is a beautiful collection. Works perfectly for all of this because very beautiful designs for it. Very heavy duty. Couple different designs of cut-aparts to use. So this is what we're doing today. Besides those items, I'm going to be using an X-Acto knife, a bone folder, scissors, and this weeder I use for taking the Scor Tape paper backing off. I also have some 1/4-inch Scor Tape because sometimes I don't get exactly on the paper where I want. And this covers up that area that we're going to be missing. So get that out of the way. Get this up and out of the way for a second. My paper, I measured just from the black here all the way over. I'm leaving this here over, so I measured from here to here and top to bottom. I added a little bit to that measurement just to make sure I can line up and get everything covered. So I need 7 by 10 pieces of paper for this, and I'm using my Fiskars paper cutter. So we're going to cut this one out at 7 by 10. And I have a very small craft desk, as you can see. This page I'm going to save. I originally was going to make pockets inside, but these have different web references, and I thought about the back, and no, we have different conversions and such back there. So no, I don't want to cover those, because if a student is using this at school, they're going to want those things. So that was 7, and we're going to go by 10. Also, that leftover paper will be nice card backs for when you're doing cards. So, 7 by 10. All right, so we're done with that. Now I'm gonna put my large score tape on here. And the biggest, hardest part about this was getting it lined up. And I am using a acrylic block that you actually use for stamping. I'm going to use that to be my guide for cutting off the edge here. My normal narrow score tape I tear, but this is just way too big to tear and would not work well for that. This block has a beveled edge. I don't want the bevel edge down there. I want the straight edge down there. That's why I turn that over. All right, and we have a little bit here that's hanging over. We're going to cut that off. All right, now get this out of the way. Get our knife covered, because I am the type that I would end up cutting myself, not realizing it was still sitting there. So we'll get that out of the way. Now we're going to burnish down all of our tape. Do have a little bit showing there, so I'm going to use my 1/4 inch to fix that. And you'll also notice that the score tape is not big enough to cover the whole thing. You can put more over there, but I prefer not to. And if you do that, you don't need to put the score tape on both your book and your paper. I have one side of my book covered. The other side is this. That's going to go up against that edge, and that's going to be the adhesive up here. I have enough trouble with this adhesive that if I tried to put 2 sheets down, that just would be a nightmare in and of itself. All right, so I'm going to work. I want to make sure that, okay, we're upside down. So Turn it this way. There, we're correct. All right, so now my head might get in this a little bit, and I apologize for that. Make sure we have our front edge. You want to make sure your adhesive is going to the side that does not have adhesive on it. So we're going to take our Scor tape off of here first. And then take our Scor tape off of here. We're going to line up with our black line here and our top and bottom. Get it as even as possible. Lay it down and burnish. We're going to do the same with the back of our notebook. Now, if you have any glue hanging over, you want to make sure you get that pushed under on your paper so that you aren't having glue everywhere. Now, as I said, I cut mine a little bit bigger because I did not want any of my notebooks showing at all. So now we can go inside here. This is very heavy-duty cardboard, so you wouldn't have to use anything to line up, but I'm going to. And I don't have a metal ruler, but that would be also a perfect item to use for this. Use your X-Acto knife, cut it away. For some reason, this is not wanting to cut. I'm not sure why. And I can't cut straight that way. You can also use the scissors, which I think is what I'm going to have to do here. Get any glue bits off your scissors. And we're going to cut around here. And on our corners are kind of rounded, so we're going to do that too. And we'll do the same on the front cover. Okay. So that is our notebook so far. Now I have to decide which, that's not going to work, but which tag I want to put in the front. So we have this love. That is just the love, not the roses above. We have plain butterflies, or we have this. Really not sure which one I want to do. So let's cut them apart and we'll take a look at what we think is where we want to go with this. Now this Fiskars cutter, I'm out of frame. There we go. What I love, yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a wire that shows exactly where your cutter is going to cut, and I love that. I use that all the time to figure out where I want to cut my items. All right, so I am going to use the background to background these so that they're kind of doubled up. So we could go with that. Don't think I like that. We could go with this. This would have to be trimmed out a little more. It's not trimmed out right. Or we could go with this. So I'm thinking the contenders are these two. The pattern has butterflies. We have other patterns that say love. I think I'm going to go with the butterfly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down on my back paper. And I just picked out some cardstock that is complementary to the collection. We're going to close this up again because, yeah. And I am using art glitter glue, like I said. I'm going to put thin layer around here. And I'm thinking I need to clean my tip again. It's getting hard to push the glue through. You do have to soak them every so often and clean them up because it is a fast drying glue, and if you don't get things closed up right away, then they will start to dry in that little tip. And you will be stuck with a tip that doesn't work very well. All right, so we're gonna come over here, line it up how we want our border. We'll give that just a second to get set, and we'll grab our paper cutter. So the part I love about this being showing you exactly where it's going to cut helps you to decide how thick your border is so that it matches up the border below as best as possible. This is all handmade, human made, not machine, not precision. Okay. Going to take our glitter glue again. All the way around our edges. Put glue in the middle. Another thing, you want this thin tip. It keeps your paper from buckling, from having too much glue, too wet. So it's absolutely perfect for crafting. All right. And so that is our notebook. I'm going to make several more, and I will show all of them to you when we're done. I will be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. This is how I'm going to be packaging them. I will put them in a plastic sleeve to protect them so that they don't get dirty at the craft fair with people looking through them. So this is one of them. Did one with the bee design, and this is the back cover. I guess I didn't show you. This is the back cover of this one. I tried to make the back covers coordinate with the front a bit as far as color wise. Here's another one. This is the one we did together, and this is my original one that I did prior to doing the video. So as far as pricing, people have asked before, how do you price your items? And pricing is variable on a lot of things. You need to look at the cost of your materials and the cost of your time. You don't go to work every day and your boss say, I'm not paying you today. So you need to look at the cost of your time because you are self-employed. You are paying yourself. Other things that do have to come into play are your markets, what your market will bear. A market in California will bear more than a market in where I live in Iowa. And there are several markets in Iowa. The small towns won't bear as much as what your larger cities will bear as far as pricing on your craft goods. So it's not something when you ask a crafter, what are you going to charge for that item? It's not really something they can totally answer you because depending where you live and on your market and what your market will bear, the cost of your items and the cost of your time, because you do have to pay yourself. Some people, yeah, they craft for the love of crafting, but you really do deserve something for your time because your cost of your craft supplies is going up, and you have craft supplies that you are not figuring into your costs, such as your cutters, your replacement blades for cutters, your ink is not always something that you will factor in. Your glue is not something you always factor in. Your pens, pencils, rulers, etc., scissors aren't things that usually get factored into your craft price. So those things need to be factored in, as well as your time. Nobody should expect you to work for free. And if somebody offers you a price for something, if they're bartering, I had somebody offer me a price for something and it's like, it cost me more to make it. I'm not going to just give it to you. And the cost that they were offering was below the cost of my materials, not even factoring in time. So, you know, your craft work is worth something. So make sure you adhere to that. So hope you're able to get into your craft room, and I will see you next time. Happy crafting, everyone.